You know, he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
But it's, again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's a soggy Thursday here in the Rockies. How are you guys doing weather-wise? We've been having tornadoes show up where tornadoes don't belong, fires where we usually don't get fires. So where is the weather headed in your areas? Everybody's saying dry, hitting the beach. So today, let's go over Kouri Richins. I'm just getting used to this platform. It's my first effort, so if I seem a little bit off, it's because I am. So I am going to, let's see here. There we go. Let's see how this works. No. Okay, I'm not going to do it this way, guys. I'm going to do it another way. Thanks for being patient with me. Okay, let's try this. Boom. How does that work? How does it look on your side? Everything's good? Did we get it? Okay, so warrant. Utah victim told family if anything happens to him, his wife was to blame. Never a good way to start a case if you're the one who has been doing wrong. A recently discovered search warrant in the death of Eric Richins spells out how family members immediately suspected his wife, Kouri Richins. So Richins was arrested Monday, not this past Monday. What date are we looking at here? May 9th. So this was the beginning of May. There's just its and bits, but I want to go through everything because there's been a lot going on with the other cases. So I thought maybe we could have a catch up. So she was arrested on charges of unaliving and possession of a controlled substance for allegedly lacing Eric Richins' drink with fentanyl. And this was in March of 2022. And then she had the nerve, after she did this, to write a children's book on surviving grief and loss. So we'll have to see where this goes. I also know she ended up buying like a $2 million house that he was not wanting to buy. She ended up putting it up. She bought it a couple days later, or closed a couple days later, and then she ended up trying to sell it for a hell of a lot more. So the search warrant, while investigating the death, I was told by Eric's family that they suspected his wife had something to do with his death. An investigator wrote in the warrant, they advised, he warned them all, if anything happened to him, she was to blame. Kind of a cute looking psychopath, eh? They don't always look like you expect them to. The warrant references a trip that Eric and Kouri Richins took to Greece and how Eric told his sister about an alleged attempt on his life. According to his sister, Eric and his wife went to Greece a few years ago, And after his wife gave him a drink, he became violently ill and called his sister, saying he believed that Kouri had tried to unalive him. The warrant reads, on Valentine's Day of 2022, his wife bought him a sandwich, which after one bite, Eric broke into hives and could not breathe. He used his son's EpiPen as well as Benadryl before passing out for several hours. Wow. So this is the house that they were in as a family, not the one that she tried to or did buy after he passed away. So the warrant states Eric Richins had recently changed his will and life insurance to make his sister the beneficiary, not Kouri. So that is telling you that he is pretty convinced that she was trying to do something to harm him. The warrant states toxicology reports reveal he died from a massive OD of fentanyl, and there was no indication from friends or family that he was a user and had any behavioral changes to indicate use of that drug or any others. So how's this stream going on your side? Everything good? Okay, let's do this again. Isn't that something? So she was charged with husband's death and sued for fraud in the 2020 home sale. So that would be the one that she was purchasing after his death. So get this one. A Utah children's author, isn't that nice, who was charged with attacking her husband using fentanyl, was sued for fraud by a couple who she sold the home to in 2020. She's 33 years old, and the book she published is called Are You With Me? It's a children's book about dealing with the loss of a loved one. On March 5th, approximately 1 year after the death of her husband, 39-year-old Eric Richins. Kouri was also a real estate agent for Kouri Richins Realty, LLC, a company she started in April 2019. According to court documents, she was sued by her clients in November of 2022. They claimed they discovered significant leaks or toxic mold. Oh, this is a totally different house. My bad. In their Heber, I'm going to say, city home because of pre-existing issues, including improper installations that were not disclosed to them prior to their purchase. Yeah, I mean, as a real estate agent, they are basically sworn to keep everything transparent. They can't sell homes. They can't even sell a house that if someone says it's haunted, the real estate agent can't even sell that house without saying to the prospective buyers that people moved out because they think it's haunted. It's something that, they have to be pretty transparent. It was not the first time that year that Kouri was in court for a dispute regarding property. Ooh, on March 2022, less than 4 weeks after Eric's death, she disputed a trust that handled his assets after his death. After he died, Eric's sister claimed ownership of their Camas home as part of his trust. Kouri argued against that, saying she was the rightful owner of the home. According to court documents, Kouri's name was not on the home's deed. Okay. He was taking care of business. The documents said that despite the alleged assignment of their home to the trust, Eric bought the home using funds from his and Kouri's joint accounts. He allegedly assigned the property to the trust without Kouri's knowledge. Eric was found deceased in the bedroom of their home on March 4th, 2022. A medical examiner found Eric had 5 times the legal dose of that crap in his system. Kouri had reportedly claimed to officials the night before his death she served Eric a Moscow mule in bed to celebrate the business success. Oh, here we go. Does this one have a paint? It does. There we go. So let's see here. She spent the part of her night with one of her 3 children who had night terrors and reportedly returned to her room at 3 a.m. and Eric was cold to the touch. So that is when she says she called 911. According to the probable cause statement, Kouri obtained illicit items 3 times prior to the death of her husband. On Valentine's Day 2022, 3 days after Kouri allegedly procured fentanyl, Eric became very ill and told a friend he thought his wife was trying to poison him. She was charged with criminal homicide, aggravated unaliving, and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Kouri. I consent to bookies. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's check this out. Hmm. Well, there you go. There you go. We've got one more to take a peek at here. I do have some of the paperwork. Let's check this out first. So I'm just wondering where that Moscow mule would have ended up, because she either had to get rid of that, if that's where she indeed put it, allegedly. Where would that Moscow mule have ended up? Did she wash the glass, dump it down? What did she do? One just never knows, do they? Look at that perfect family. How many times do we hear that? And the outcome ends up being tragic. So many times you don't know what happens behind closed doors. And it is not always men. So, yeah. I mean, look at the ripple effect of something like this. Let's look over here. So, New York Times, of course, they are in the description. I think this is just brief. Let's take a peek. Oh, let's try that again. Mm. Wow, eh? Unreal. So, in a case like that, when you're assuming someone has overdosed on that, is mouth to mouth safe? Like, I'm not saying necessarily with this particular case because, I mean, she wasn't going to give him mouth to mouth. But if somebody doesn't know and they give somebody mouth to mouth after they've passed away from taking that stuff, is it safe to give them mouth to mouth? I keep a little in one of my purses. It's a little mouth guard that you're supposed to use. I don't know how that works out. I know that it can happen, but I don't know how easily it happens. So it says that the Utah woman who wrote a book about the death of her husband, who she has since been charged with poisoning, sobbed in court Monday as she was confronted with the evidence against her, including scathing words from grieving relatives. I never knew evil like this existed, Amy Richins told a Utah court as she berated her ex-sister-in-law, Kouri Richins. The 33-year-old mother of three stands charged with first-degree aggravated that and possession of a controlled substance for allegedly serving her husband, Eric, a Moscow mule laced with 5 times the lethal dose of that crap. I want to know where that Moscow mule ended up. Wearing a simple white button-down shirt, black pants, and her brown hair tied back, Richins was flanked by her attorney in Summit County Court for a Monday detention hearing where she was ordered held without bail. Hell yeah. Bye-bye. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get into CL in these, but CL is the person that was allegedly supplying her with this type of medication. At one point, she was trying allegedly one form, and it didn't seem to be working. It was just making him sick. So she asked allegedly if she could have exactly that word, and she said, the Michael Jackson stuff. Richins cried in court Monday as prosecutors read a text message she allegedly sent to her best friend. She also had a party. And it was the following day, a party. I pumped so damn hard, so hard, screaming at him to come back to life, the text message allegedly stated. So yeah, we just watched her wipe her face with a tissue. Did you guys see tears? I didn't see a tear. She went on to write a children's book about his March 2022 death titled Are You With Me? How sick and twisted does a person have to be? Like, are you freaking kidding me? Would that be like a version of a trophy? Is this something she can go back on? And she's just sick. So the defendant informed dispatch and police she performed CPR on Eric while awaiting EMS. But they did say, the EMS did say that foam was coming out of his mouth, and it was an indication that she had not been doing any kind of CPR. So we know that she worked as a real estate agent, and she said that her and her husband were celebrating on the night of March 3rd because she had recently sold a house. A Moscow Mule vodka drink, there we go, and brought it to him in their bedroom. Does any of that seem normal? We're celebrating, he's in bed, so I bought him a drink and I went and slept with the kids. Made him a drink. I don't know. Quite the story. Looks like a happy enough guy. Everything I've read, he was like friendly, happy. She stated she went to bed and shortly went to sleep with one of her children in the children's bedroom. She woke up about 3 and he was cold to the touch. So this is interesting too. Evidence showed Kouri Richins had a cell phone and made several suspicious internet searches, including, get this one, luxury prisons for the rich in America. If the cause of death listed on a death certificate could be charged, and whether police could force a person to take a polygraph test. What are these people with doing internet searches? How many of them are getting busted? What did it start with? I think the first one I really heard about was Casey Anthony. So she also allegedly clicked on articles with titles, delay in claim payment for death certificate with pending cause of death, and signs of being under federal investigation. Totally normal searches, totally normal. Amy Richins, Eric's sister, confronted her former sister-in-law about the way her brother died under horrendous circumstances and how little he meant to her. In the moments before his death, he faced betrayal and terror, Amy said in court. I am haunted by the horror of it. She recalled how Richins wouldn't help with the funeral costs, but allegedly she wouldn't help with his funeral costs, but allegedly bought a $2 million house 2 days after Eric's death. She also claimed that he had previously assaulted her and tried to cut Eric's family out of the children's life. So this is his sister there, Amy. And that is the place they were living at the time. Beautiful home. Agreed. Jazzy. Agreed. Amy told the court she feared for her family's safety and for the well-being of Eric's sons. Our family has already suffered enough. Investigators claimed Richins had bought the fentanyl, there we go, from a woman named CL. who cleaned the Richins' personal and business properties, but defense attorneys fired back, arguing prosecutors provide zero corroborating evidence showing CL bought fentanyl for Richins, and further pointed to lack of any evidence of fentanyl inside Richins' home. Being bad with money does not make you an unaliver, defense attorney Sky Lazaro reportedly told the court. Being bad at managing your accounts makes you bad at math, but it does not make you an attacker. Wow. Well, hello, Mexi. I'm, let's see here. Show and stream. I think one of the first was Amazon product review guy. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So I'm using, what is this one called? Streamlabs. So you'll have to let me how it goes. It was kind of a rough start. I was all over the place, but I think as I get used to it, I am going to like it. Let me know how it's working for you. Let's take another peek. Kouri Richins. Utah mom had allegedly changed the life insurance policy for her husband, Eric Richins, before he died in their home, a small mountain town near Park City, Utah. Oh my. The dog's slapping me. In the months before her husband's death, Kouri had attempted to make herself the sole beneficiary of life insurance policy. I didn't realize she was doing that as well. The police search warrant noted that Eric had expressed concerns for his wife was trying to unalive him, and he changed his will and power of attorney to give his sister full control before he was allegedly poisoned. While investigations were going on, police found that Kouri had taken a number of trips soon after her husband's shock death. Despite detailing 2 trips she took in 2022 in the email to police, she went on to note a 3rd trip to Mexico only 5 months after he passed away. I took my kids and my mom came with us in August of 2022 to Mexico. As I hope you understand, the months prior to this, since Eric's death, have been Eric's death has been hard to deal with, Richins wrote. Although police probed the suspicious trips, the Utah mom claimed that her family routinely took overseas holidays every year. But with this said, she wouldn't help pay for his funeral. What? So she says that her and her husband went to Mexico every year, sometimes twice. We traveled a lot. We've taken the boys to Mexico a few times. This is not new for us to go to Mexico or for us to go out of the country on a vacation with our kids. So from Kouri Richins to Chad Hoffmeyer, Frank Root, Jeff O'Driscoll. Hey there, I thought I would clarify some of the items on your list that you spoke redacted about. The beginning of February last year, my kids had a soccer tournament in Mesquite. The day before we left, February 2nd, I tested positive for COVID. I have attached the picture of my test on the counter in my kitchen from when I first found out. Photo 1. I sent it to my mom, redacted, to let them know because I was just around both of them. Eric was the coach of a soccer team. I'm the annoying mom on the sideline that never stops yelling. We don't miss games or tournaments. We're a huge soccer family. When we found out I had COVID, I didn't want to miss the soccer tournament, nor did I want my kids to get sick. So I stayed at Casablanca. I didn't want to risk getting my boys ill during the tournament and then not playing well. I brought a box of home tests with me to test every day so I could either join the boys staying at my father-in-law's or at least be with them during the game. Casablanca is about 5 minutes from the soccer field. Actually, there's a picture of the room I stayed in. I had taken pictures for my mom and Eric. I was still positive every day. Pictures attached. I would take pictures of my test To Eric and say still positive. You can check Eric's phone for this. I stood on the sidelines wearing a mask and not interacting. Dogs are going booky. Happy to get other soccer parents to attest to this. Eric had gotten COVID after we got home from Mesquite. So what is this? This is basically... Just want to see if we wanted to go through it. You asked, redacted, about any exotic vacations I've taken since Eric's passing. I went on 2 trips last year. One, my kids tried out at a soccer camp in Salt Lake City to qualify to play in Spain in June. And both my kids made it. So yes, I took them to Spain in October 2022. I have attached their invitation letters. Also, Eric and I went to Mexico every year, sometimes twice. We traveled a lot. We have taken the boys to Mexico a few times. We like to go in January. However, January of 2022, we could not go because Eric had his hunting trip to Mexico. Trip of 2 weeks planned, and it was too much that month. This is not new for us to go to Mexico or for us to go out of country or on vacation with our kids. I took my kids and my mom came with us in August to Mexico. Okay, we've read all that, right? No, I've never been to Key West or the Keys in Florida. However, my nanny went with her family in June 2022, so you may have something mixed up. Eric's affair was the same year I moved out. The trust we created, as well as him looking into a divorce. I never actually moved out. I moved my clothes out one weekend to make Eric understand I'm not kidding about leaving him if he doesn't end things with blank. I did this on Thursday or Friday while he was out of town. I was home Monday. I never stayed another night at that house. Eric and I figured things out like most couples do. Redacted was her name. He changed her name in his phone, so I wouldn't know about it. And honestly, we worked things out after that. I never went through his phone again to see if he changed it back, but you have his phone and can check. Eric and I went to blank counseling in Camas 801 blank. We only went about 4. I don't know what that was going to say. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Oh my. Okay. The email also saw Richins claim her husband did not want me working because his ex-wife had an affair with colleagues. She said Eric wanted her to be a homemaker and a typical conservative wife, and her job as a real estate agent threatened him. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll see if that'll work. And I'll put it in my community page. So she said Eric had wanted her to be the homemaker. Okay. He wanted us to live the typical conservative life where the man takes care of his family and the wife is a homemaker. Wife and mom, she said. That's not my personality and not the way I was raised. I'm very independent. Eric had reportedly been carrying out an affair for some time before his death, but Richins said the couple had been trying to work through their issues. Yeah, sounds like it, right? Richins detailed her mental health problems in the email to police, saying she took medication after suffering postpartum depression after the birth of her second child. She has a lot to say. She said she was hoping to end the investigation into her husband's death as soon as possible, including halting alleged harassment by private investigators and her husband's family. I just want this over. I just want our lives back and to move on and grieve and mourn my husband without looking over my shoulder constantly for you guys or the idiotic private investigator or the Richins family. She just doesn't want anyone looking at her, does she? I guess not, because everything points right to her. And then she says, I'll just let you know whatever you want. This is the book cover, a children's book. Okay, we don't have to watch this, but this is the interview she gave promoting her book. Video of her appearance shows her referring to her husband's death as a shock. Unexpectedly, last year, March 4th, it completely took us all by shock. We have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6, and my kids and I kind of wrote this book on different emotions and the grieving process. You're a sick witch. She said she was motivated to write the book after searching Amazon and Barnes and Noble and finding nothing to help them cope. Don't kill their daddy. I went on Amazon. Okay, yes, she did. And again, she said she told police that she performed CPR, but they say that was unlikely as there was blood coming from his mouth. Court documents say she had bought $900 worth of fentanyl pills from an acquaintance before Valentine's Day meal, and 2 weeks later, she asked for $900 more. Days later, Eric died of an overdose. Court documents showed how he suffered an allergic reaction following a meal with Richins, and he could not breathe and passed out after using an EpiPen and Benadryl. People have had their eye on her, hey? I wonder what it is about her twisted personality that's popping out. Following Eric's death, Richins had claimed he had addiction to pain medicine in high school, but there was no substance abuse issues since. So if you bought those pills and he doesn't do those pills, how do you get it into his system? In addition to the attack charges, Richins also faces charges involving the alleged possession of GHB, a narcolepsy drug frequently used in recreational settings, including dance clubs. She was arrested on May 8th and faces charges of first degree, aggravated, and possession of controlled substances. Bye-bye. And I think I've got one more. And then we've got a little bit of paperwork, a little longer stream. Oh, isn't that the truth? People are going to have to start keeping Narcan in their medicine cabinets. Unreal. Unreal. Yeah, and money hungry. So if she's all this broke, I know Richard Allen's this morning. I am going to be looking at that. I know they want to, I'm going to show that on. They want to throw out that gun. I'm going to check that out after this stream and see what I can find out. Okay, I've got one more for us to listen to. And then I've got, I'm going to read the shorter document. Because I think the other one's something like 50 pages. And I'll just go through the highlights, I think.
At a hearing for the Utah mother of 3 children accused of fatally poisoning her husband after writing a children's book about coping with grief following his death. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Dana. I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning at home. Kouri Richins is accused of serving her husband a drink that was laced with 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl. Both sides getting a chance to preview their cases during a detention hearing yesterday. Prosecutors presented their evidence, the defense calling the case purely circumstantial. In the end, the judge denying requests for bail, finding that she is a substantial danger to herself and others.
Jeff Paul has more for us. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill and Dana, this is the first time we truly got an understanding of not only the toll this case has had on the victim's family, but how the murder charges are impacting Kouri Richins. At times, she held a blank stare as she listened to testimony, but once investigators started detailing how they believe Richins' husband, Eric, died, she lowered her head and appeared to wipe away tears, sometimes shaking her head, all while in handcuffs. But the most intense moments, though, came during the impact statement from Eric's sister.
This last year has been a living hell for our family. We have watched as Kouri has paraded around portraying herself as a grieving widow and victim while trying to profit from the death of my brother. Both by trying to profit from a book about his death and trying to get life insurance and assets that should go exactly where Eric wanted them to his boys.
Eric's sister says he spent his final moments faced with betrayal and terror. She told the judge Kouri was too distraught to help with funeral arrangements, but spent the next 48 hours after his death closing on a $2 million home, hiring a lawyer, and finding a locksmith to break into Eric's safe.
Eric was such an inspiration and role model for us all. His loss has created a Grand Canyon-sized hole in this community. Except instead of taking millions of years to slowly form, our worlds change overnight. His 3 boys' entire worlds and their perspectives on life changed. None of our lives will ever be the same.
Kouri Richins' attorneys admit the family did struggle financially, but they say, quote, being bad with money doesn't make you a murderer. The judge, though, said there was substantial evidence to support not only the murder charge, but holding Kouri in jail while the case plays out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to grab this paperwork and I think it's these ones here, the charging documents. So I'm going to blow them up a bit. Okay, so State of Utah versus Kouri Richins, date of birth April 20th, 1990. So the judge is Richard Mrazek. The undersigned prosecutor states on information and belief that the defendant either directly or as party committed the crimes of number 1, criminal homicide aggravated MDV in violation of Utah Code in first degree felony. I don't know what my dogs are doing. What are you two doing? They're into stuff all over the place. So that on or about March 3rd, 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did intentionally or knowingly cause the death of another individual under any of the following circumstances. The actor committed the homicide by means of the administration. You guys. They're like rearranging things. I have no idea what they're doing. Okay, let's get back to this. The actor committed homicide by means of the administration of a poison or any lethal substance or any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Furthermore, the defendant was a cohabitant with the victim. 2, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. That on or about January 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance that was classified in Schedule 1 or 2, controlled substance analog or gamma hydroxybutyric acid is listed in Schedule 3. Possession of a controlled substance, intent to distribute. That on or about February 11th, 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute, control, or counterfeit substance that was a classified Schedule 1 or 2, a controlled substance or analog or gamma hydroxybutyric acid as listed. So there is a few of them. These are all these possessions, different dates. This one is the same charge, but from February 26, 2022. The information is supported by a statement of probable cause as follows. What have you got over there? Where are you getting sticks from? They got sticks all over the place. I have no idea where they dug it out from or if it's anything important. On March 4th, 2022, at 3:22 hours, Summit County Sheriff's deputies and EMS staff responded to a residence located at 282 Willow Court in Summit County on the report of an unresponsive male. When they arrived, they found Eric Richins on the floor at the foot of his bed. Life-saving measures were attempted, but Eric was declared deceased. During interviews with the deceased wife, the defendant, Kouri Richins, she stated that around 2100 hours on March 3rd, 2022, she and Eric were celebrating the defendant's closing on a house for her business. Defendant stated that she made Eric a Moscow Mule in the kitchen and brought it to their bedroom where Eric consumed it while sitting in bed. The only people in the house were defendant Eric and their children. Defendant stated she went to bed and shortly went to sleep with one of the children in the child's bedroom because that the child was having a night terror. She said she woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning, went back to bed, and that's when she found Eric cold to the touch and called 911. The defendant told law enforcement that when she left her room to go to the child's room, she left her phone plugged in next to her bed and did not take it into her child's room. However, when the defendant said she went to the child's room and when she called 911, the status on her phone shows that it was locked and unlocked multiple times, and there was also movement recorded on the phone. In addition, tolls on defendant's phone show that messages were sent and received during that time. These messages were deleted. What do you got there? Bring it here. Come here. So isn't that something? If I remember correctly, she pretty much deleted everything out of her phone before she brought it. I have no idea where they... No, you don't need that. Look at what she's... Alrighty. So, following the autopsy and pursuant to toxicology findings from the autopsy, it was determined that Eric passed away from an OD of fentanyl. The medical examiner indicated that the level of fentanyl in Eric's system was approximately 5 times the lethal dosage. The OME stated the fentanyl in Eric's system was illicit fentanyl and not medical grade fentanyl. I didn't know there was more than one type. It's also the opinion of the OME after evaluating Eric's gastric fluid contents that the fentanyl in Eric's body was ingested orally. After receiving the information regarding the toxicology, a search warrant was obtained for Eric and the defendant's residence. During the service of the search warrant, defendant's phone and several computers were seized as evidence. Warrants were obtained for all the electronic devices, and the information from those devices was downloaded. When investigators downloaded defendant's phone, several communications between defendant and CL were located. CL was identified as an acquaintance of the defendant. A police record check of CL revealed multiple counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of paraphernalia. May 2nd, 2023, Summit County detectives interviewed CL. CL told detectives that sometime between December 2021, February 2022, the defendant contacted CL via text message and asked if CL could get the defendant some prescription pain medication for an investigator who had a back injury. Within a few days, CL procured hydrocodone pills from a dealer. Defendant told CL to leave the pills at a house the defendant was flipping in Midway. CL left the pills at the house and defendant left cash for CL. It has been determined that this house was owned by the defendant in December 2021 and January 2022. About 2 weeks later, the defendant contacted CL again. and said that her investor wanted something stronger, and she asked for some of that Michael Jackson stuff. The defendant asked specifically for fentanyl. CL contacted a dealer in Ogden on February 11th, 2022, and procured 15 to 30 fentanyl pills from a dealer. Defendant came to CL's home in Heber, and CL delivered the pills to the defendant. CL received $900 for those pills. 3 days later, on February 14th, 2022, Eric and the defendant had a Valentine's dinner in their Camas home. Shortly after the dinner, Eric became very ill. Eric believed that he had been poisoned. Eric told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. 2 weeks later, the defendant contacted CL again, asking for another $900 of fentanyl pills. What the frick was she doing? CL contacted the Ogden dealer again on February 26, 2022. Procured the pills. The defendant told CL to leave the pills at an outdoor fire pit at the Midway house where Cash was waiting for her. 6 days later, on March 4th, 2022, Eric was found dead of a fentanyl overdose. This information is based on evidence obtained from the following witnesses: Justice Hemingway, Deputy O'Driscoll. The state reserves the right to supplement its witness list as additional discovery warrants. Patricia S. Castle, Chief Prosecutor, and it gives the defendant's last address. What the actual hell was she up to? Like, she'd been trying to do this for a while. Unreal. What do we see here? Da, 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 da. So what do you guys think? Does she have any does she have any hope, or is she sunk her own battleship? She hasn't really been a smart criminal, has she? And I mean, I don't know. You can't very well. These guys do it to themselves. They get all wrapped up, decide they're going to do this to their partner, and then they don't even do it smart. They leave tracks all over the place. They leave digital evidence all over the place. I don't know if it's because they're not aware of what they can actually get from these electronics, but I keep going back to the Murdoch trial and those phones. Oh, can you hear me? Hello, hello. Is something going on with my stream? It's not me. Just let me know. The first stream is always going to be an interesting one, right? Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mexie. Thank you very much. I got home yesterday from our little jaunt, and the dogs ate my microphone filter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with little Miss Kouri Richins. She piece of work. Hopefully those kids will be okay. I don't know how you're okay after one parent does this to another. Yay, Shauna. So guys, I am going to jump off. I'm going to see if I can get this right. And I want to look into, I'm going to probably pop onto Discord and do a little bit on Richard Allen and see what he was up to today. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me. You know how much I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit that thumbs up. It is so important for the channel. So guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.